They skipped my daughter's birthday, but 2 days later Mom requested $3,400 family trip fund. I sent $3.40 and typed, "Enjoy the trip." Then I did one quiet thing. 5 minutes later the family chat blew up. I'm Linda. I'm a mom, a sister, a daughter, and apparently the family wallet. That's not me being dramatic. That's how they treat me. Always have. When I got divorced 6 years ago, I didn't ask anyone for help. Not even once. I got a second job, sold my car, and moved in with a coworker just so I could keep paying for daycare. My parents told everyone how proud they were of me, but quietly they started treating me like a safety net. If someone needed money, they didn't call each other. They called me. If a bill came up short, if my brother's transmission blew, if Emily's rent was due, suddenly it was our problem, meaning mine. But this story isn't about money. Not really. It's about my daughter. She turned 7 this year. Her name is Ava. Sweetest kid you'll ever meet. All she wanted was for her grandparents and her aunt to come to her birthday party. She even made invitations by hand. Drew little smiley faces next to each name. He was so proud of herself. We mailed them out 2 weeks early. I followed up in the family group chat. Just a reminder, Ava's party is next Saturday at 2 p.m. She'd love to see everyone. I even reminded them what kind of cookies Ava wanted Grandma to bring. She didn't ask for gifts. Just the cookies. Saturday came. I kept looking out the window. Cars showed up, her friends, my neighbors, a few classmates, but no one from my family. By 3 p.m. I stopped checking. They didn't come. They didn't call. They didn't even text. I kept it together for Ava's sake, but later that night she asked me if Grandma had maybe forgotten her phone at home. I told her I didn't know. She went to bed still holding the card she'd made for them. I waited 2 more days. Still nothing. Not a word. Then on Tuesday morning the group chat lit up. Mom, hey everyone. Family trip planning time. We're doing the beach house again this summer. Same one from 2018. We're collecting $3,400 per family. Need to book by the end of the week. Linda, can you just send yours in full? You're the only one who's good at wiring things. No hi. No, sorry we missed Ava's birthday. No acknowledgement whatsoever. Just a casual $3,400 request like I owed it to them. Before I could even respond, Emily replied with heart emojis and wrote, "Yes, finally. I need this so bad all." Then my brother chimed in with, "Booked off work already. Let's go." I sat there looking at the screen, my hands shaking. Ava's birthday had been 2 days ago. They skipped it like it was nothing. So I didn't say anything. I logged into the shared family bank account. The one I had opened with my mom so she could have easy access if there was ever an emergency. The one they all eventually started dipping into. I transferred $3.40 to it. Caption, "Enjoy the trip." Then I quietly drained the rest. Every cent transferred it to a new account in Ava's name. Set up new access rules. Locked everything down. It took about 10 minutes. At exactly 10:18 a.m. the family group chat blew up. "Dad, where's the rest of the account?" Emily, "W. Linda?" Mom posted a screenshot of the $3.40 transaction and just wrote, "Wow." Then Emily sent a voice note, not even a message, that said, "Seriously? All this because we couldn't come to some kid's party?" I didn't reply. Then she wrote, "You're a grown woman, Linda. Not everything's about you. You don't get to throw a tantrum and punish the whole family just because you chose to be a single mom." That one hit different. Because it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't heat of the moment. It was how they'd always thought. That being a single mom somehow made me lesser. That my life, my money, and my time were just collateral for their comfort. They never saw Ava's birthday as a priority, because they never saw her as anything other than mine. Not family. Not their grandchild. Just an extension of the burden they think I chose. I went quiet. But I wasn't done. What none of them knew was that I'd kept everything. Screenshots. Transfer logs. Payment receipts. Every time they borrowed, every promise to pay me back, every time they took from that shared account without asking. And for the first time in years I wasn't scared of what would happen if I said no. Because I'd already decided this wasn't about saying no anymore. It was about taking back everything they felt entitled to. And that was only the beginning. After I shut down the shared account, the silence was louder than any yelling could have been. Mom wasn't texting. Emily had gone quiet. Dad didn't even pretend to check in. I wasn't naive. I knew they were regrouping, deciding how to spin it. And I was right. It started subtly. My cousin Kelsey messaged me on Instagram. "Hey, just checking in. Heard you're having a rough time." That phrasing, "having a rough time," told me everything I needed to know. Mom had already started her campaign. I didn't reply. A few hours later my Aunt Martha texted, "Whatever happened, your mom's heart is broken. She's been crying every day. Crying. Because I stopped letting them drain my account. Not because they skipped Ava's birthday. Not because they didn't call or text. Just because I had finally said, no more. By the end of the week, I was getting sympathy messages from people I hadn't spoken to since college. Church ladies. Old neighbors. Even my hairdresser messaged asking if I was really not speaking to my mom anymore. Meanwhile, not a single person from my actual family had called to check on Ava. No apology. No acknowledgement. Then came the Venmo request. $950, March/April rent, X in advance. It was from Emily. No explanation, no greeting. Just that. I stared at it for a while. Rent. For the apartment I co-signed for. That I helped furnish. The same one she begged me to help her get after her life coach phase fell apart and she couldn't go back to living with mom and dad. I didn't pay it. 2 hours later a text came through. You're seriously gonna do this? After everything mom and dad have done for you? I didn't respond. She followed it up with, they took you in after your divorce. They fed you. They gave you a home. Sure. For 6 months. During which I paid rent, bought all the groceries, covered their phone bills, and watched their dogs while they took trips to Palm Springs. So I said nothing. Then came this. You're lucky mom hasn't told people what you said about her last year. That stopped me. Because I knew exactly what she was talking about. A private conversation. Last fall. I'd vented to Emily about how exhausted I was being the financial safety net. How mom acted betrayed whenever I brought up boundaries. How I felt like a walking wallet. I never said it cruelly. I just needed someone to listen. Apparently, Emily ran straight to her. I didn't take the bait. But I made a note. The next morning my mom posted on Facebook. A long, passive-aggressive monologue about children who lose their way, money-poisoning relationships, and being forgotten by the ones you gave everything to. No names, of course. But it didn't matter. Everyone in town knew exactly who she meant. Emily commented underneath, we still love you, even if you don't love us anymore. I didn't respond. Not there. But I did message her directly. You want to play dirty? Fine. I've got everything. Every cash transfer. Every bill I paid. Every emergency you cried about that ended up being a new tattoo or a trip to Vegas. You come for me, I come for you harder. She left me on read. But the next day the Venmo request was cancelled. Too late though. Damage done. At work, a coworker walked by and said, hey, family drama, huh? Then laughed like it was a joke. Another asked if I needed to borrow money, half joking, half serious. Word had spread. They were painting me as a villain. A bitter, selfish daughter who'd turned on her own family. Because in their minds saying no to them wasn't just selfish. It was betrayal. But what pushed me over the edge wasn't Emily. Or the Facebook post. Or the town gossip. It was Ava. She came into my room holding the envelope she'd given me 2 weeks ago. The birthday card she made for Grandma. Still sealed. She asked if we should try sending it again. Maybe Grandma didn't get it. I told her no. That we'd hold on to it for now. Then I kissed her forehead and promised myself something right there. They were going to learn what it meant to be cut off. Not just from money. From everything. The only difference this time? I wasn't going to raise my voice. I wasn't going to argue. I was just going to let the silence do the damage for me. 2 weeks passed. No one called. Not about Ava. Not about me. Emily went back to posting pictures of brunch and yoga classes like she hadn't just tried to publicly blackmail me. Mom kept fishing for sympathy on Facebook, posting quotes like, sometimes the ones you love the most hurt you the deepest. The guilt trip wasn't working. But the silence? That part got to me. Not because I missed them, but because I knew what it meant. They were planning something. And I was right. On a Thursday afternoon I got a call from Ava's school. I assumed it was something about a field trip form I forgot to sign. Instead it was the office secretary, asking if I could confirm who was listed as Ava's emergency pickup. Apparently my parents had come to the school, uninvited, saying they were there to surprise her and take her for ice cream. They weren't on the pickup list anymore. Because I had quietly removed them 2 weeks earlier. When the school turned them away, Mom made a scene in the parking lot. Told the staff I was mentally unstable, and that she was worried for Ava's safety. The school documented it and called me to let me know. That night I sent a short message in the family chat. Don't go near my daughter again without permission. Not at her school. Not anywhere. You are not her guardians. Emily replied almost instantly. Wow. Way to alienate your own kid from the only real family she has. I didn't respond. I just screenshot the message and saved it to the folder on my computer. I had already labeled it backup just in case. 3 days later things escalated. I got a call from the family lawyer. Not mine, theirs. The one who handled my parents' estate stuff. He told me very calmly, that my mom wanted to remove me as a secondary on their life insurance and retirement plans. Nothing illegal, just a formal step. I said, that's fine. He paused and said, she also asked about putting Emily on instead, as the sole beneficiary. I laughed. Out loud. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about punishment anymore. This was about replacement. They were trying to write me out. Emotionally, financially, legally. What they didn't know was that I was already gone. I'd been waiting for one final thing before going nuclear. A very specific document I requested from the bank. A certified summary of all the withdrawals made from the family account over the past 7 years. Including the ones made by Mom, Dad, Emily, all labeled with date, amount, and note. When it came in the mail 2 days later, I opened it and just stared. There was every loan that was never paid back. Every urgent withdrawal. Every Cash App transfer to Emily marked with emojis instead of explanations. I highlighted the totals. Over $62,000. That was the number they'd bled from me while telling the world I was selfish. So I posted it. Not in the group chat. Publicly. I cropped out sensitive info, but I made the numbers clear. I didn't name names. Just posted a photo of the report and typed, "Don't ever let people convince you you're crazy for saying no. Especially when all you've done for years is say yes." And then I muted everything. 37 minutes later, Emily called me 6 times in a row. I didn't answer. Mom sent me one text. "You want to embarrass us? Go ahead. But you just proved we were right about you." That night, Ava asked me if we were still going to the beach house this summer. I told her no. That we were planning something even better. She smiled and said, "Just me and you?" I nodded. But inside I knew it wasn't over. They'd been humiliated. And people like them, they don't take humiliation quietly. A week after I posted the bank statement, the silence was eerie. Mom deactivated her Facebook. Emily went quiet. For a second I thought maybe it was over. Maybe they finally understood that I wasn't going to play along anymore. That I was done being useful. But peace in my family never lasts. I came home one afternoon to find Ava sitting on the porch with a small gift-wrapped box on her lap. She wasn't smiling. I asked where it came from. She said, "Emily was here. She didn't come in. She just said this was a surprise." She hadn't texted. She hadn't knocked. She had just walked up to my house, talked to my daughter without permission, and left. I opened the box. Inside was a bracelet. A charm bracelet I recognized immediately. It was mine. I'd had it in middle school, kept it in a box of old things in Mom's attic. How Emily got it I didn't know. But under the bracelet was a folded note. Just 4 words. "You think you've won." I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the moment Ava told me how Emily had smiled and told her, "Don't tell Mommy I was here." The next morning I went to the police station and filed for a no-contact order. I also changed the locks, bought a security system, and set up cameras. One above the door. One facing the driveway. I gave Ava a phone and told her the 3 numbers she was always allowed to call no matter what. But the quiet that followed wasn't relief. It was build-up. Because that same week I started getting messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some from high school. Others from church. One of them, Rachel Hammond, said Emily had messaged her out of the blue, claiming I was emotionally unstable, hoarding family money, and isolating Ava from everyone. Another person said Emily told them I threatened to leak family secrets if Mom and Dad cut me off. She had twisted the story again. Not just privately this time. Publicly. She'd been telling anyone who'd listened that I was blackmailing our parents, manipulating Ava, and using her to keep control. The same night I got an anonymous email. No message. Just a link to a local gossip forum. I clicked it. There was a thread titled, "When your family turns on you because you say no." At first I thought it was mine, someone sharing my post. But it wasn't. It was Emily's. She had written a full fake story from her point of view. About how she and Mom were cut off after trying to help Ava. She even said she tried to visit out of love, but was met with lawyers and threats. It had dozens of replies. People were split. Some called it out for what it was. But others, strangers, were defending her. Calling me controlling. Saying Ava deserved her extended family. That was when I decided I was done talking. I printed the entire thread, every screenshot, every Venmo transaction, every one of their lies. Then on a Monday morning I took a day off work and drove to my parents' house. Not to scream. Not to explain. To end it. They opened the door. Emily was there sitting at the table. I told them I wouldn't stay long. I dropped the folder on the counter and handed my mom a sealed envelope. Inside was a formal letter from my lawyer. It spelled everything out. Any further defamation and I'd file. Any more visits to my home or Ava's school and I'd file. I was pursuing legal guardianship boundaries that would permanently bar them from making decisions or contact without my consent. No emotion. Just paper. My dad tried to say something. I held up my hand and said, "This isn't a conversation." Then I walked out. I thought that was the end. But 5 days later my phone buzzed. A DM from my cousin Kelsey. "Hey, did you hear about Emily?" I hadn't. She'd been in a car accident. Hit a guardrail on a rainy road, flipped into a ditch, broke her leg and fractured ribs. The car was totaled. No insurance. She was in the ICU for 2 days before they downgraded her status. No one from my family called me directly. Not even Mom. But Ava found out. From one of her friends at school whose mom had seen it online. She came into my room with tears in her eyes and asked if Aunt Emily was going to die. And I froze. Because I didn't know what to say. That night, after Ava went to bed, I sat in the living room for an hour holding my phone. I thought about all the horrible things Emily had done. All the lies. The messages. The fact that she had come to my house without permission, spoken to my child behind my back and threatened me with my own past. And then I called the hospital. They told me she was stable. No visitors outside immediate family. I said I was her sister. I brought flowers the next day. The nurse let me in, said she was awake but loopy. I stood by her bed and waited for her to notice me. When she did, she just blinked. Then she started crying. And I didn't say anything. I just sat down and for the first time in years I held her hand. Emily looked smaller in that hospital bed. Swallowed up by tubes and wires and the oversized cast on her leg. Her voice was raspy. She kept trying to say something but couldn't get the words out. I sat there and let the silence settle between us. After a while she whispered, "You came." I said, "Yeah." She turned her head slowly toward the window. Her eyes were bloodshot. She looked like someone who hadn't slept for days. Maybe she hadn't. "I thought you hated me," she said. I told her I didn't hate her. I was just done. We didn't say much after that. I stayed for about an hour, mostly just letting her drift in and out of sleep. Before I left, I told her I'd check on her again. She nodded barely. On the way home I didn't feel relief. Or peace. I felt like someone had opened a door I had spent years nailing shut. And then something happened I never expected. 2 days later, I got a call from the hospital's billing department. Apparently, Emily had listed me as her emergency contact, and also her fallback guarantor. She had no insurance. No savings. Nothing. Her bill was sitting at over $37,000 and climbing. I should have said no. Instead, I asked them to send me the itemized breakdown. And I started making calls. Within 3 days I'd set up a payment plan, transferred some money from my emergency fund, quietly moved around a few investments. I didn't tell anyone. I also hired an in-home nurse for 2 weeks and scheduled physical therapy visits to her apartment, the same one I'd co-signed for, which she could no longer afford. And I paid the rent. Again, I didn't say a word. Not to her. Not to my parents. Not to Ava. I just did it. On the 4th day I took Ava to visit her. I didn't want to at first. But Ava insisted. I made her promise not to talk about anything except school, art, or cartoons. She agreed. When we got there, Emily looked better. Still pale. Still slow. But alert. She cried when she saw Ava. Real tears. Not performative ones. They talked for 20 minutes while I sat in the kitchen checking her meds. Then, right as we were about to leave, Emily asked if we could talk alone. Ava went to the car. I stayed. She stared at me for a second. Then she said, "Mom and Dad didn't come." I nodded. I knew they wouldn't. They'd never liked hospitals. She looked away. Her lip trembled. I thought they'd be here when I woke up. I thought they'd care. I thought at least Mom would bring flowers. I said nothing. I told them everything was your fault. That you were dangerous. That you wanted to cut me out. But when I was in that ditch, I didn't think about them. I thought about you. She looked back at me. I don't know why you came. I don't know why you paid. You didn't owe me anything. He was right. I didn't. She covered her face with both hands and cried so hard she shook. I didn't touch her. I just stood there. Then she said something I hadn't heard from her in almost 20 years. "I'm sorry. For everything. For letting them use you. For helping them turn people against you. For making you the bad guy." She wiped her eyes. "I promise I'll fix it. I'll tell everyone the truth. I'll make sure no one in this town ever sees you in a bad light again." That part made me flinch a little. Because I didn't care about the town. I cared about Ava. And for the first time I could see that maybe, just maybe, Emily did too. Before I left, I told her she didn't have to fix anything. Not right away. But if she really meant it, she'd show up. For Ava. For herself. And she nodded. As I closed the door behind me, I didn't feel like a hero. Or a martyr. Or a fool. I just felt done. Not with her. With everything else. Emily showed up at our house exactly 3 weeks after the accident. No warning. But not in the way she used to, not barging in or sending guilt-laced gifts through Ava. She just rang the doorbell holding a Tupperware container of soup and a handmade card. Ava opened the door and smiled so wide I almost forgot everything. Almost. Emily asked if she could come in. I let her. We sat in the kitchen. Ava talked a mile a minute about school, how she'd been cast as a tree in the winter play, how she got to be the tall tree, not the bush. Emily laughed. Genuinely. She didn't interrupt. She didn't fake interest. He just listened. When Ava ran off to show her a drawing, Emily turned to me and said, I meant what I said. I've been sending messages. One by one. Explaining everything. And I told Mom and Dad they're on their own. I raised an eyebrow. She nodded. They haven't spoken to me since. Not even to check if I'm still paying rent. She smiled like it was the first time she understood what being cut off really felt like. Then she pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket. I know I can't fix what I did. But I wrote a statement. It explains everything. The bank account, the money, the things I said about you, the lies. If anyone ever tries to use my name against you again, just show them this. I didn't read it right away. I just took it and put it in the drawer. I also talked to the landlord, she said. The lease ends in 2 months. I'm moving out. I need to figure out what it looks like to live without depending on people who make me feel small. For the first time, I didn't see the girl who once stole money from my purse or whispered lies to our mother. I saw my sister. Damaged. Flawed. But maybe trying finally. Then Ava came running back in and did something that nearly broke me. She handed Emily the old card. The birthday card she had made for Grandma. The one she'd kept sealed for weeks. The one that was never sent. I didn't want it to go to waste, she said. It's still a good card. Emily took it like it was something sacred. And for a second she looked like she might cry again. But she didn't. She looked at me. Thank you for not giving up on me. I didn't respond. Not out loud. But something shifted in that moment. We weren't healed. Not fully. But the cycle, the one our parents started, the one we both kept feeding, had finally cracked. A week later I got a call from my old church friend, the one Emily had lied to months earlier. She said, I heard from Emily. She told me everything. I didn't know how bad it was. I'm sorry for what I said. And then another person called. And another. One by one the web started to unravel. But it didn't matter anymore. Because I wasn't living for them. Not for their opinions. Not for their gossip. Not for some Facebook version of family unity. I was living for Ava. And for myself. And for once I wasn't looking back.